Welcome! In Power BI, I'm going to show you in Power Query how to replace values to update the values in the whole cell, and how to replace values within a string, how to bulk update columns, and along the way I will point out a few items to watch out for, such as replace values being case sensitive, why the order in which the replacements occurs matter to prevent unintended amendments, and why sometimes additional steps are required before you can use replace values. Here I have a small sample data set which has the name of staff members, the country they work in, and the department to which they are assigned, and so on. It has been decided that the forensic department is to be renamed to investigations. Note here that I have forensics starting with a lowercase f and beneath that forensics with a capital letter. In Power Query, the replace values feature is case sensitive, so I'll demonstrate what happens if we don't consider this. If I click on the department column to highlight it, then in the Home tab, click Replace Values. Then in Value to Find, if I put Forensics with a capital F and replace it with Investigations and click OK, only the forensics with a capital F changed. So in this case, I would also need to replace the lowercase forensics by repeating my steps, highlighting my column, go to Replace Values, Value to Find, Forensics, and replace with Investigations. Note that occasionally in this scenario it may be beneficial to add an initial step to capitalise each word before doing the replace. However, in this case it would reduce the acronym HR to H small r and IT to IT. In the second example, I would like to tidy up the country code column, which contains 6 distinct values, but I am looking to have only 2, being USA and UK. Currently, in the column, the profile indicates there are 6 different countries, as there is a mixture of abbreviations. And from initial impressions, it looks like USA, all capitals, is listed twice. Before I begin replacing values, I need to tidy the data. Usually, immediately after import, I would apply the trim feature to all columns before I do any data cleaning, but that's not been done here, so I'll start with that. I go to Transform, and in the Format drop-down column, I would select Trim. This has reduced the distinct values to 5, and the 2 capitalised USAs have become 1, as there was a hidden space. Note that if after trim there was still 2 USAs, then I would need to take a closer look at why the USA is appearing twice, but in this case it was due to a trailing space. As I would like the country abbreviations to be all uppercase, the next thing I will do is, with the country code column still selected, in the Transform tab, in the Format drop-down column, I will change everything to uppercase. This has now reduced the distinct values down to 3. I can now use the Replace Values and say the value I would like to find is the US, and I would like it to replace it with USA. And I need to go to the advanced options here and say match entire cell contents and click OK. If I did not tick the match entire cell contents box and clicked OK, you would see that the US becomes USAA, because at the start of USA, the US is dropped and the new value is USA, So USA becomes USAA. So if I go back into the step and make sure match entire cells is selected, click OK. My profile indicates I now only have two country values, being that of the UK and USA. In the third example, I'm going to show you how to replace values within a string and why there is a distinct difference between within a string and replacing values in the whole cell, and demonstrate why the order of replacement matters. For the full name column, it's been decided that the Mr., Mrs., Ms. and Miss titles should be removed. Similar to the USA example, I need to watch out for words contained within other words. For example, Mr. being part of the spelling of Mrs. A simple replace for Mr. would result in the S of Mrs. remaining. Note that if this was a real-world example, I would consider alternative action to replace the titles, such as splitting the column at the first space. My first step is to capitalise each word to change lowercase Mr. and Mrs. to uppercase. So with the full name column selected, in the Transform tab, I click on the drop-down arrow at Format and select Capitalise each word. I can now start replacing values. So with the full name column still highlighted, I go to the Replace Values option. The first thing I will do is replace the longest word. In this case, it is Miss with the dot. And I don't want anything to show, so I put nothing in the second box. And I press OK. And I continue to do the same for the other titles. Replace values and replace with nothing. The replace values has resulted for quite a few names with a blank space at the start of the name. So to remove these blank spaces, I simply go to Format and select Trim. And now I have a cleaned up column. A few additional points to note: it's often helpful to do a search before you make replacements. For instance, here, the letters MR don't just appear together in the title. They also appear in the surname Amrani. If I had just tried to replace Mr. with blank, then it would also remove the MR from the surname here. So please be careful. One way around this, if I was not capitalising the word, would be to do replace Mr. and then put a space. Then the surname is not impacted. As a tip, if there was more than one column with the same replacement, such as here in the driving licence and has a car column, where we have Y's and N and yes and no, to avoid 4 distinct values, I can select both columns, then in Replace Values, and in Replace Values you can see it says replace one value with another in the selected columns, plural. So the value to find in my case is I would like to remove the word yes and just replace it with the capital Y abbreviation and click OK. And I can do the same again. Replace values for the no's. The value to find is no, replaced by N. Click OK. And both columns are automatically updated. Returning to the Replace Values feature, there are times when the ability to replace special characters is helpful. The example here is in the Notes column. The new hire awaiting company car runs over 2 rows, as in Excel, Alt plus return was used to create a line feed. I would like to remove this and replace it with a dash. So here, with notes highlighted, in my Replace Values, Advanced Options, I click the Replace Using Special Characters box. Then from the drop-down list, I select Line Feed. And that goes into my top box here, value to find, and I would like to replace it with a space, then a dash, then a space. I click OK, and the new hire awaiting company car is now all on one row, separated by the dash. In summary, in this Replace Values in Power Query video, I have covered how to replace values to replace the entire contents of a cell, how to replace values within a string, highlighted that Power Query is case sensitive, and discussed why the order of replacements matter to prevent unintended consequences. I also touched on why sometimes additional steps are required before you can use replace values, how to bulk update columns, and how to replace special characters in a string. I hope you found this video useful. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more data tutorials. Thanks for watching.